Hi, my name is Dineta Trigg, and I am here at the Fantasy Film Festival with one of our very special guests. He is a script writer and a filmmaker, and I'm sure many other things as well. I'm just going to have him introduce himself and the name of his script.
Hello, my name is Ninno Mazzone. I'm a screenwriter and I'm film director in France. And I will talk about my film Fantasia, who is in competition at the Film Fantasy Festival. So thank you very much to receive my script and to present myself today.
Well, thank you so much for being here. So let us have a synopsis of your script for the audience that has not read your script yet.
Yeah. Fantasia is about a couple in the 60s in America who were Puritan, Catholic, and their life will be changed by their new neighborhood with who they are hippie movement of shamans and community. So they will change their way of life when they will encounter them, and we will discover around them that maybe it's a better way for them.
So it's about the hippie movement for those that didn't catch that, the hippie movement and the couple's involvement with Charles Manson.
Yeah.
And out at Spawn Ranch. And your film covers so many taboo subjects.
Yeah.
So what made you go there? What made you decide, okay, I'm going to talk about, sex and violence and religion. What inspired you to do that?
When I was very young for my studies in high school, I studied the Catholic religion at Bordeaux in the southwest of France. And COVID-19 was appear, and I was thinking about the treatment of women and in their home, in their house, and the feminicide, the womenicide. It was very important for me to talk about this and the duality between the religions in the world, and to expose them in the EP movement, because I love to hear some Beatles music, and I was fan of the hippie movement when I was 18 years old. So it was very important to create a story about that, and the symbolism about sex, about painting, about dreaming, the moon, the sun, astrology. I was thinking about to create a story like a painting, and to put that symbolism into it, and to talk about the women beaten during COVID-19 and today nowadays.
That is so interesting. I'm going to go take you back a little bit when you said that you were very attracted to the hippie movement because you're young. To me, that feels like you're an old soul. Like maybe you lived during that time and you just reincarnated into this time. So it's always interesting to me when young people are interested in, decades past. Can you talk a little bit more about that, about being attracted to that culture and that time?
Yeah, I think I was born in the wrong times because in my head I'm very old, and I love the history from the 60s. I'm very patient. I have a passion about that, the way that people were like a community. They talked much than nowadays. There wasn't smartphone in their hands, so their report to church in the 60s was very interesting for me. To talk about that, to talk about what or were the vision about different religion like EP, but because some people in the 60s, for them, EP movement was a religion, because they had a new kind of living, of eating of feed of food, like nature. The contact with nature was more important than today. So that's the reason why I focused on that,
Okay.
especially
All right. All right.
to seeking what people in the 60s were thinking about the new world of their future. And today, in my theme, is kind of dystopia of what nature could be for my main character.
Yes, yes. It's just a really fascinating, very, very fascinating story. Because I'm sitting here thinking, as you're talking about the hippie movement in that decade of the 60s and 70s, and you're absolutely correct. I think people maybe were much more connected to the earth, right?
Yeah,
And connected to one another. And it was all about love, right?
Yeah.
Love your neighbor. And you're right, there were communities of people that took care of themselves. Most people now don't know their neighbors.
yeah,
Yeah, they don't know them. Don't know how many kids they have, don't know anything about them. So it's such an interesting, story. Where do you see this story going? Like, what is your end result for this script?
I would like to shoot the film in the Indian land in
Okay.
United States.
Okay, all
to
right. Indigenous, Indian
yeah,
land,
indigenous.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. And I would like to film the nature in as contemplation,
Okay.
with the wild mountains, wild grass, no civilization.
Okay.
And I would like to confront, like a sitcom, at the beginning of a film with a lot of church, a lot of community, like a routine.
Yes. Okay.
In case of a wave, the house are dispatched in the streets. And then I think I will change this vision with a lot of dance, of music, of sittings. I think is gonna. I will go through maybe like a dreaming vision.
Okay. All right. Again, great script.
Thank you very much.
It's as a filmmaker myself, when you're describing everything, my mind goes to how are we going to make that work, right? As a filmmaker, it's like, how do we make that work? So especially if you're doing sort of a decade film, everybody's got to look like they're from the 60s,
Yeah.
right? Black women with big hair, afros, like not a lot of tattoos or piercings. So my filmmaker mind says, okay, how can we make this work? Yes, because there's not a lot of places that are untouched by civilization. But I think that there are still some locations that you could, maybe have a river running through and have some mountains, especially filming when there's not a lot of people around, so that you can make it look deserted.
In fact, I was thinking to Nevada, to put
Nevada?
Okay.
Okay.
Nevada to film the nature
Okay.
and to imagine the church, maybe the Texas or Washington D.C. in the 60s. Because there were a lot of people in the cities. So I think it would be very interesting to imagine a routine with a Sunday church for people. So I design a lot of pictures to make a mood board when I put this film, because at first I wrote the script because when I writing a screenplay, I put music in my ears. I think I had a lot of images in my head, like in characters, people, their dialogues, and the house, the nature. So that's my structure to work.
Okay.
And then I create a mood board. I always seeking for pictures, paintings, and then I'll put all these pictures and all this painting in a mood board, and that's my direction
Yes.
to
Yes.
imagine what will going to be.
What it's going to be. That's a good idea, and every filmmaker needs to do that. But I think it's great that you're doing it with your script. What I want to know next is you're you're not concerned about the religious tones. You're not concerned about offending anyone when you speak about religion.
I would like to demonstrate and to assemble a lot of communities to watching my film, and b- to to see that religions are the story behind. At the basic, all religions begin to a story with one man who had the vision, the wealth, and good advices. So when I expect that when people will go into to theaters, they will be from different religions, and they will watching a film who explain the duality of religion, but in fact there isn't duality between religions. There is just duality between the kind of living of its people. Because my main characters, Beth and Seth, who is a Catholic, they are very impressed by the EP because they hit apple in the garden naked, they drink, they singing all the time, but they, they don't know that kind of living because they're just going to church at the Sunday, they make a cake. So, that's the way of this is and nowadays we're living like this. People just go throughout the streets and just take a highs on some people and they think overthinking. So I present this in my film, but in other decades.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I like that, and I like it that they just kind of show up, and they're very surprised, but very curious
Yeah.
about other lifestyles, and that's what you just said. They're very curious about what's going on because they've never been exposed to it before, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you want? Because this film is going to be made. I mean, let
Thank
that
you.
be.
I
that,
wish.
well, don't wish. Just make it happen. Sometimes you have to film small parts here and there. Don't be afraid to ask for help. But it's going to be made.
Okay.
After people see the film, what do you want them to take away from this experience?
I want them to, I'm expecting them to watch the film again and to think differently. Maybe at first they were thinking like, "Whoa, what did I just watch?" It was
What did I
so.
just see?
What? Yeah, of course,
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of informations because, well, as I said, my film is like a painting. At the first of the film, you can see a big painting, and there is a lot of symbolism in this film.
A lot of symbolism.
Yeah. And at the end, you gradually understand this symbolism that you have seen. So I expect that people will be interested by see my new films after.
Yes.
Too, because in all my films, I have a signature, from visuals, from dialogues, from music, because I love to work with different composer, and so I would like people think differently.
Okay.
I would like people maybe wants to travel to Nevada, to maybe to watch old films, to hear old music, and to put an interest on the 60s.
Yes. You know what? I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I want to ask you a question
All right.
about the '60s. Who was one of your favorite directors from that time period? And did you watch their movies from that time period?
Yeah, there were a lot of filmmakers. Hitchcock was a good one because he put the suspense in his films, and we can expect what we will he will be on the film when you go through it. And in my film, I was not directly inspired by him, but I love to create dialogue that you cannot expect it will be. I love to put sittings like dances. I'm more inspired by one film director who inspired me for this film. It was Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Okay.
He created a film with the name of the film was Secret Mountain,
Secret Mountain.
Secret Mountains.
Okay.
I loved that film, and I was very inspired by this because there were a lot of symbolism in this film, and you don't have a one story. You have different stories, but with one message. You have a conflict of people. You have a war. You have conflict. You have spiritism, religion. So maybe I put something of Alfred Hitchcock in my film, and I put Alejandro Jodorowsky in my film
Yes.
to mix it and to
Good.
create fantasia.
Yes. You know, Alfred Hitchcock always made an appearance in one of his films. So maybe that's also a signature for you is you can always show up. Like in The Birds, he walks some dogs, or he's got some dogs that he's walking and he just pans by the camera. So maybe that's a signature that you can start.
Yeah.
You can just, be somewhere in the scene and just maybe walk through or be doing something. I know that M. Night Shyamalan does that. Stan Lee would do that with all of his Marvel hero pictures. There would be a scene with him doing something. So maybe that's something you can think about.
When gradually I'm writing some films because I wrote one of a film, and I will writing a film in Egyptian. I recognize my signature, and my friend Aurélien is good friend of mine, and he'll always reading my scripts, and he can recognize my signature now. I love to put some colors. I love to create character. What we can be very familiar to us.
Okay. Yes.
That's my signature, I think.
Yes. Okay.
I love to make dance in my film, to surprise people. I
Yes.
love that people, when they're watching my thing, they can expect what it's gonna be. But I make a clue at the beginning of the film, and I can put maybe a character in my thing, but it will be in the other film, but in different time, in different decades. That's my signature.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So after '60s and '70s, so what would be next for you after making the film? What would be next for you? What would be next?
After to making Fantasia, I think I will be put myself and put my mind in Egyptian,
Okay.
in the Pharaoh. That's I don't know if the correct word, but it's Pharaoh in French. Like Cleopatra in this time. The title of my film will be Sahar.
Zaha.
Sahar. That's
And what does that mean?
sun,
Zaha.
beginning of the sun
Okay.
in Arabian.
Okay.
Because I traveled to Morocco.
Morocco.
The last holidays, the last summer.
Okay.
And I loved I love the ambient temperature because it was very warm. In Marrakesh, especially.
Nevada is very warm.
Nevada, I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
So is Arizona.
Really. And I would like to confront. In this film, I think I will maybe put a character that I created in Fantasia, and I will put it on Sahar.
Really? That'll be
Yeah.
interesting. Very interesting.
My theme are like that.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, I love to create different stories and to create a link between my films that people can watch one of my film, and when they will watch another film in different times, maybe in 5 years or 10 years late after, they will recognize that there is a clue in one of my films. So
Okay.
I think it will be Sahar, my next tapes.
Okay. We always call them in America Easter eggs. Easter
Okay,
eggs
yeah,
are little,
it
you
is.
know, Easter eggs.
know
Like
it.
that's an Easter egg from my past movie or this past character. So I just find that I find that fascinating. Is there anything else you want to tell us about your film? Because your film / script.
Yeah.
Because I'm a true person of I believe in manifestation. So you can make it happen. You will make this film happen.
I will.
Yes, you will.
I have one more story I can say about
Okay.
Fantasia.
Sure.
Or maybe one more information. I think I will maybe work with a composer which the name is Kishibashi.
Kishibashi.
Yeah, it's a singer and he plays violin,
Okay.
cello and piano.
Okay.
I love a way of direction is imaginary and inspirations. So I think maybe for this film, I will work with him.
Okay.
I would like to. I will work with him.
Yes.
Because I love the way he directs some music.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Where can people reach out to you on social media to ask you more about your projects and maybe help you with donations getting the project made? How can they contact you on social media?
They can contact me from Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook,
Okay.
I think. And I have one of my websites, which the name is No Matters Production.
Okay.
It was my own company at first when I start to going to festivals. So we can put www.com No Matters Production.
Okay.
And
So
they can
I'm
find.
going to have you spell your first and last name so that people can write it down,
Yeah.
and then spell the name of your company so that people can understand to
Alright.
get in contact with you.
Okay. Ninno, Ninno,
Okay, Ninno.
Mazzone,
Okay.
Mazzone,
Mazzone.
and No Matters Production, NOMATTERC,
Matters, S, yes.
SPRODUCTION.
Yes, No Matter Productions. So yes, perfect. That's perfect because sometimes people they hear and they need to write it down to make sure. So that's good. I'm hoping that only positive things for the script and for the movie moving forward. And I really, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Dineta.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I appreciate you because it takes a certain level of vulnerability to let people see your work,
Yeah, it
right? And so I really, really appreciate you being vulnerable and showing us your work and sharing your work with us.
Thank you very much.
You are more than welcome. So this is me, Dineta Williams-Trigg, signing out with Ninno, who is here today at the Fantasy Film Festival, sharing his writing, his script Fantasia with us. So thank you again for being here, Ninno.
Thank you, Dineta.
Thank you.